had a dinner a few years back at Pete's favorite restaurant back here in LA when I was getting ready for US Open, and that was one of the best dinners I've had in my life, definitely with my childhood idol. And I've asked him if he would be kind enough to answer some of the questions that I had in my head, and I just became #1 of the world. And then he gave me a few advices that I still keep in my head and I still remember very firmly, and you know, trying to keep it simple, trying to get the right people around me, give me the right support, and try to protect me from any kind of negative influence that you can have as a successful professional tennis player.
He's fun to watch, he's passionate, he's playing for his country, like it's everything I love about sports. And he is so good, he's so gracious, and he's passionate, and you know where he's at emotionally, and I'm just a big fan. You know, it's hard to impress me in this sport, and he's handled it great, and I'm proud of him. I mean, he really is he's a stud. Where do I start? His movement, first of all, is clearly, it's unbelievable. I've never seen someone move that well, change directions, defense to offense so quickly. That stands out more than anything. Obviously his game, his serve's big, he's great forehand, great backhand, he doesn't miss. And he's a fighter. You know, I've watched Novak and he looks like he's tired, he's got this extra gear in him. You got to be able to commit and to play well on a week-to-week basis on different continents, different surfaces. So it takes a lot of hours to take care of your body and to really stay professional and still have that willpower and desire to still be the best in the world. So, you know, any advice from this man is very valuable. What is similar is our willpower, is our will to win. You know, that's when we play, even though I might be a little more subdued, he's a little more animated, we still wanted to win, badly. I just did it in a sort of different way. Everyone's a little bit different, you know, and Novak is such a passionate player, you know, like he's upset, he throws his racket, he's excited, he rips his shirt off, you know, it's good to see where he's at. And I just look at the tennis, and I look at the will, I look at him winning majors, defending majors, and just a warrior. I mean, he's just the ultimate fighter. It's amazing, really. I mean, as I said before, he's somebody that I was looking up to when I was growing up, and him winning 7 Wimbledons and just that kind of image stuck in my mind and motivated me to ask my father to collect the courage to ask my father to buy me a tennis racket, because I don't come from a family that had a tennis tradition, and from the country also. So, but you know, it's great. I'm really proud of what I've achieved in my career, and to be able to sit now with Pete and discuss these things is a blessing.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely to hear that mutual admiration between the two of them. I mean, you know, there are many similarities perhaps, but in playing styles that they're really quite different, aren't they?
Yeah, very contrasting. And by the end of Pete's career, he was an out-and-out serve volleyer. You know, Novak is throwing it in a little more these days, but generally plays from the baseline. But one thing they do have in common, and Pete used the word a few times, is that will to win. And I think often with the champions we've had, Roger Federer included, that will is disguised around a graceful exterior, but there's real steel inside. And I think these you know, these #1s, whether it was Guga who had sitting on the couch, that they all bring new. They raise the game itself. I think Guga, actually, he was one of the first ones to use that backhand up the line, which changed things a little bit. You know, Novak's bringing this athleticism and fight and just the high standard day after day, setting new levels. Because after all, was Rafael Nadal who looked, from a will point of view, he looked unbeatable, and it was Djokovic who actually matched him and then took it a step further. So quite remarkable. And I think, you know, I think it's hard for normal people to understand. So for someone like Pete, you know, he knows what it took to achieve what he did. He'll understand what the fight, the determination going through Novak.
Yeah, tennis fans are often quite quite critical of Sampras for not being exciting enough out on court, not showing his emotions. But that's something Novak very much does do, isn't it?
He does, yeah. I think he really does wear his heart on his sleeve, as they say. Very emotional. I think Pete Sampras said, you can see where he's at in a match. You can see when he's a little bit nervous, when he's a little agitated, when he's excited, and I think that's great. I think the fans love it. I think Pete was just a little different with the way he did it. I think he felt like he couldn't be any other way than what he was, to really, really focus on and off the court. Off the court, you wouldn't really see him around the tournaments. You'd see him come in, he'd play his matches, do his practice, and then do his press, and then he'd be gone. Just because he felt, I think, that to perform at the level that he needed to be and to stay at the top of the game, that he just had to stay in that zone the whole time. A lot of players can kind of dip in and out of that. Someone like Djokovic does that very well. You can see that he's very fan friendly. He gives a lot of his time, and no one better than someone like Roger Federer, who just seems to be able to kind of switch from father to player to fans' favourite as well.
And I wonder if that's slightly a sign of the times as well, that players now really have to embrace that element, the media, the social media side of things. Everyone wants a bit of them. Maybe it wasn't quite so pronounced in Sampras's day.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sorry, Marcel, it's 100%. I think they're also looking to leave some sort of legacy as well, kind of just lay this path for future generations, because they understand now how important it is to get the crowds and the fans that travel from all over the world to get them involved more, because they're the ones that kind of come pay and watch and keep them on the courts. And even I heard this morning with Roger Federer talking about how he's really interested to get involved with the younger players, kind of look at the 16, 17 year olds, Troich, for instance, many others as well, that he's always kept an eye on. He likes to practice with young guys around Grand Slams. He'll use them as practice partners just to see what the standards are out there, and perhaps offer a few words of advice.
Yeah. Did you want to say something, Miles?
Well, I think times have changed. Players are more aware of what's going on off the court for them, the opportunities they have. But I think you need to stay true to your personality. And Pete Sampras just wasn't someone who was, as I've said, he'd disappear off. But even when he was around, he wasn't overly chatty. He was pretty private. The likes of Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, Rafa Nadal, they are chatting with their mates, and while they're waiting for the match, playing cards or whatever it is. So there's an element where you have to stay true to yourself. But as you're saying, there's that determination and will sort of running through all of them.
Yeah.